It was 6 o'clock in the morning. It was raining heavily outside, and the wind was very strong. The plane shook as it flew through the clouds. There were 12 people on board, 11 passengers, and 1 pilot. They were flying from Washington to New York. "Fasten your seatbelts, please," said the pilot over the intercom. "There's some very bad weather ahead." The passengers looked at each other nervously. What kind of weather could make a pilot say that? They had all seen the news reports about the snowstorm in New York. Flight 107 was the first flight to land at JFK International Airport that day. The others had been cancelled because of the storm. The plane dropped suddenly. Some of the passengers screamed. "Don't worry," said the pilot calmly. "This is normal." He knew this route well. He had flown it many times before. But this time it was different. This time there was a big storm. He needed to be careful. As the plane got closer to the airport, the rain and the wind became stronger. When the plane was 10 miles from the runway, the pilot said, "I'm going to attempt a low approach to the runway. If we can't land on the first try, then we'll have to go around and try again. But I think we can do it." The passengers held their breath as the plane fought against the wind and the rain. The pilot was focused. He knew that he had to land this plane safely, no matter what. The plane touched down heavily on the runway, and the passengers clapped. The pilot smiled. He was glad that he had landed the plane safely. Now he had to get his passengers off the plane as quickly as possible. They had to get to the terminal before the storm hit. But as the plane was moving along the runway, the pilot saw a group of people running away from the plane. He stopped the plane and asked, "What's wrong?" One of the passengers went to the door and shouted, "We don't want to get off the plane yet. We can see the storm coming. It doesn't look good out there." The pilot looked out the window and saw a wall of snow and wind heading toward the airport. He knew that they didn't have much time. He made an announcement over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. We need to get off this plane right now. Please leave the plane immediately." The passengers started to get off the plane. They were worried, but they trusted the pilot. They knew that he was doing everything that he could to keep them safe. Some of the passengers were still taking pictures when the snow started to fall. It was beautiful, but it was also dangerous. The wind started to blow, and the temperature dropped. Everyone started to run for the building. People were slipping and falling in the snow. The pilot helped an old woman to her feet. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded, but she was shaking. He put his arm around her and helped her to walk. He was worried about her, but he knew that he had to get to the terminal as soon as possible. They reached the door just as the storm hit. It was so cold outside that the camera couldn't see anything. The wind was screaming. The pilot opened the door, and he and the passengers ran into the terminal. They were soaked, but they were safe. At the baggage claim area, the pilot took off his jacket and gave it to the woman. "Here you go," he said. "You're welcome." The woman smiled. "Thank you," she said. "That was very kind of you." The pilot blushed. He didn't know what to say. He was just trying to help. After a while, the passengers started to leave. The pilot stayed behind to talk to the manager. "How did you decide to land at JFK today?" the manager asked. "I did the approach, and I saw that I could land safely," said the pilot. "But I should have known better than to land in this weather. I've been doing this route for years, but I guess I got careless." The manager nodded. "Well, you did the right thing by landing here. You saved those people out there. I saw the pictures of your plane on TV. You were right. There was no way we could have handled that storm today. You were very brave to land your plane in that weather." The pilot smiled. "It wasn't me. It was my co-pilot. He was the one who kept us on track and landed the plane safely." The manager shook his head. "No, you're both heroes. You and your co-pilot. You saved those people out there." The pilot felt uncomfortable. He didn't like being called a hero, but he knew that he had done the right thing. He had saved the passengers, and that was all that mattered. Later that day, the pilot and his co-pilot were watching the news. They had just seen the pictures of the storm. "We were lucky to land our plane safely," said the co-pilot. "Yeah, but we couldn't have done it without you," said the pilot. "You were great back there. You kept us on track when I was talking to the passengers." The co-pilot smiled. "No, you were great. You kept us calm, and you landed the plane." The pilot smiled back. He knew that they had done a good job. They had worked well together, and they had saved the passengers. Then they both looked at the TV. The news anchor was talking about the storm. And now the storm is moving up the East Coast. The National Weather Service says that the storm will continue to cause heavy snow and strong winds from Virginia to Maine. The storm has already caused more than 100 car accidents, and 200 flights have been cancelled, and at least 2 planes have been diverted due to the weather. So far, no injuries have been reported. The pilot and the co-pilot looked at each other. They knew that they had made the right decision by landing Flight 107 when they did. They had saved the passengers. The next day, the sun was shining and the snow was sparkling. The pilot and his co-pilot were having breakfast in the airport restaurant. They were talking about the storm. "I can't believe how bad the storm was last night," said the co-pilot. "It was crazy. I'm just glad that we landed our plane safely." The pilot nodded. "Me too. I saw the pictures on TV. That was some serious weather out there." They both fell silent. They knew that they had been in danger, but they had done their job well. Suddenly, the pilot felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned around and saw a woman standing there. "Excuse me," she said. "Are you the pilots of Flight 107? The pilot and the co-pilot looked at each other. "Yes, we are," said the pilot. "Well, I want to thank you for saving my life," the woman said. "What do you mean?" asked the co-pilot. "Well, I was on that plane with my son. He was taking pictures when the storm hit. And if you hadn't gotten us off that plane when you did, I think we would have died." The pilot and the co-pilot looked at each other again. They had saved a life. "It was our job," said the pilot. "That's what we're trained to do." The woman shook her head. "No, you went above and beyond the call of duty. You were brave and you put your lives on the line to save us. I will never forget what you did for me and my son." The woman and her son thanked the pilot and the co-pilot again, and then they left. The pilot and the co-pilot watched them go. They knew that they had done something special. They had saved a life. "Do you think we should have flown that approach?" the co-pilot asked. "I don't know," said the pilot. "It was a close call, but I think we made the right decision. We saved those people out there." The co-pilot nodded. "Yeah, I think you're right." Then they both looked at the TV. The news anchor was talking about the storm. And now the storm is moving up the East Coast. The National Weather Service says that the storm will continue to cause heavy snow and strong winds from Virginia to Maine. The storm has already caused more than 100 car accidents, and 200 flights have been cancelled, and at least 2 planes have been diverted due to the weather. So far, no injuries have been reported. Now listen and check your understanding. Okay, now check your answers. Did you understand the story? How do you feel about the story? Do you think the pilot and the co-pilot did the right thing? What about you? Would you have flown the approach in the story? Let me know in the comments. And if you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.